Hello, you two pipers. Double O pipe here. My Savinelli Bing's favorite. With velvet. And it tastes pretty good today. I put one of those balsa filters in this and tried not to jam it in quite as tight, so the draw is easy. I want to show you something. This is a K Woody, one of those pipes that I got from eBay. I have it loaded up with rock salt, and then I filled it to the brim with 190 proof grain alcohol, and I shoved this down as far as it go, but it wouldn't go very far. But that's been sitting there since yesterday evening. We'll see how it looks. It looks like the alcohol might have spilled on the sides, so it's taken some of that stain off of it. But we'll see. Once I get all that rock salt out of there, I think I'll leave it until tomorrow. Hope everybody's doing okay. Opened up the window, but it's kind of warm outside. It's about 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Sitting here. Hunter's asleep. We went out earlier. He doesn't want to go out again. He really doesn't like the outside. And neither one of us is getting the exercise we need, because I was hoping I'd be able to walk him around down the road and everything, but not a chance. He cowers and just bunches himself up and doesn't move. So I'm not going to try and force him to do that. That would be wrong. Something else I've got. In August, the BookTube people have a month of reading trash books, and it's called Garb August. And it's all begun by a booktuber called Criminali, who had these bookmarks made up. And I thought that was kind of neat, so I thought y'all might be interested in that. It's a whole month dedicated to reading trashy books. To me, a trashy book is The Carpetbaggers by Harold Robbins. But there are other things. They've named off quite a few. If anybody's interested, look up Criminali and you can check it out. This is something I wanted to talk about or tell you about. But this is the story that my buddy says I got all wrong and has been upset with me ever since I've told this story. Tried to say that it's my memory, what I remember, and what he remembers, I'm certain is a totally different scenario, but this is what I remember. In 1958, we graduated from grammar school with our little diplomas. And we went to a brand new or a recently built brand new high school called James Island High School. This was one we had to take the bus to because it was too far to walk. Well, not only our grammar school, but other grammar schools around the area had graduated sixth graders, and they all went to high school, or junior high as they called it, but it was still incorporated into high school, and started seventh grade there. Something totally new for us. We felt like grown-ups because we were going to high school now. We were 11 or 12, and we thought we were big stuff. We weren't even teenagers yet. But it was simply because we had been thrown into a completely new world. Instead of sitting in one class all day long, at the new school, we walked to each class separately. Totally different. That's why we felt like grown-ups, I guess. We were dependent upon ourselves to get to the right class at the right time. Well, my buddy, he's the one that won all my marbles in grammar school. We were walking down the breezeway that first day, and he caught sight of this gorgeous, gorgeous little brunette who was from another grammar school and starting over there. We were all thrown in together. And he walked away from me and started following her and talking to her. He had no shyness about him at all when it came to girls. Me, it would have taken me a long time. But he started talking to him or her, and he just was head over heels. He was crazy mad in love. And he talked to her until she went to class. This was after a week or so. She went to class, and he was coming up to us, and this boy from the other school who had known her for a long time and considered her his stopped him. And he said, "I don't want you going near my girl anymore." And my buddy said, "Your girl? She doesn't seem to act like she belongs to anybody." Well, he said, "You just stay away from her. You understand?" And he said, "I won't stay away from her unless she tells me to stay away from her." And that's when this other guy pushed him. Wrong thing to do. So they started pushing each other. 11-year-old kids. So several of us went over there and pulled them apart and said, "You can't do this, you get in trouble." And that guy said, "You better stay away from her." And somebody pushed him away and pushed him to his class. And we sort of did the same thing with our buddy. Well, this went on and on for a while. For a week or so. Anytime she wasn't in the picture, they would sort of circle each other, giving insults. couple of times they had taken some swings, but they never connected. And they were always separated and taken each to their separate classes. Well, the phys ed teacher heard about this. And he saw one of them almost take a swing, and he went over there and grabbed his fist and said, "Okay, you boys, I've seen you two, and you're going to get in trouble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back here. I'm going to put the gloves on you and let you two duke it out." Both of them said, "Yeah, that's the best way to handle this." Well, he had them go to the phys ed room and get dressed out so that they were both just in trunks. Took them out behind the 7th grade classes out under an oak tree. And all the kids were screaming, "Fight, fight," and they were all running and gathering. And so the teacher said, "You people gather around in a circle big enough for these two young bucks to get through with this." So a big circle was made of just kids surrounding these two guys, putting on the gloves. I looked around and I saw the girl that it was all about, and she was red-faced and a couple of tears in her eyes. And she kind of tried to hide herself, which I understand now. Back then I didn't. And both these guys got the gloves on. And the teacher said, "Now I'm going to tell you boys, I'm going to give you 3-minute rounds, 3 of them. You either go the distance, or one of you puts the other one down for good. Each round's going to be 3 minutes, just like professionals do, boys." Everybody surrounding him was going, "Fight, fight, kill him, kill him." You know how people do, especially kids. Each respective school or previous school is shouting their favorite's name. We were shouting ours. They finally got the gloves on, and he got in the ring with them and said, "Okay, I want you to touch gloves, back off, and then come out fighting when I ring the buzz or blow the whistle." Which they did. They both met in the center, touched gloves, then they backed up, took their stance. And the teacher blew the whistle. And he said, "All right, boys, first round." Well, they were kind of sizing each other up. Now, the guy from the other school was kind of a large, hulking guy. Didn't really look like he worked out or anything, but he was big. Our friend was shorter, slimmer, wiry, and he had been lifting weights, so he was pretty fit. He was like a coiled spring and ready. The other guy kind of didn't know what he was getting himself into. Well, For about a minute, minute and a half, they just kind of circled around each other, nobody throwing a punch. And the teacher said, "It's about time you boys started fighting. So I want to see some punches thrown." So the boy from the other side of the tracks comes in and throws a punch, which our buddy blocked and hit him, and he staggered back. Well, that kind of made the other guy mad, so he came in swinging, and our buddy blocked those and came up with an uppercut, which knocked him on his butt. Teacher came over and pushed our friend aside and asked the boy on the ground, "Are you okay? You want to end it now?" He said, "No, I want to finish this." So he said, "Okay, get up. You only got about a minute left in this round." So he came up and he kind of charged, throwing punches, and they were being blocked, and one of his punches grazed our friend across the head. He had a flat top. He was sweating, so the punch just kind of grazed him across the top and kind of knocked him back. And this guy moved in to take him out, and that's when the whistle blew. First round was over. Each time, the teacher would come, look at them both and say, "Are you boys satisfied? Do you want to stop this now?" And they both said, "No. We want to take this the full 3 rounds, or till I knock his butt on the ground." Well, they rested up for a minute. Then he blew the whistle again, said, "Round 2." So they went in there, and they were throwing punches this time. I mean, solid punches to the body, and gloves glancing off gloves, so that one of them hit the other, and his nose started bleeding, and they were beginning to sweat, and the other, and our guy got his nose hit, so his nose was bleeding. They were both bleeding a little. Wasn't anything major. And they just kept slugging away at each other. Wham, wham. You could hear thuds where they were really getting those body blows in. And sweat and blood was splashing out into the crowd. And the crowd just went into a frenzy with the blood. They started saying, "Kill him, kill him, beat the hell out of him." You have to remember these 11 and 12-year-old kids. Well, our friend got another good hit in, which took the other fellow off balance, and he fell down, and the teacher halted it and went over and asked him if he was all right, if he wanted to stop the fight or continue. He said he wanted to continue. So they both got up again. Man, did they look tired. And they had red spots from where where the gloves had been hitting. They just looked worn out. And just as they were going in again, the whistle blew. 3 minutes were up. Round 2 over. Well, round 3 came. Teacher blew the whistle, and they headed into each other. They both looked, like those gloves were beginning to get heavy, and I'm sure they were. They were both throwing punches, but they weren't really connecting or hurting each other. And our friend got in another lucky punch. Bam! And the other fellow went down. Once again, teacher stepped in and said, "Do you want to stop this? This is the third time you've been down." He said, "No, I want to finish this. I want to finish this." And our buddy said, "Yeah, tell him to get up. I want to deck him again." Well, it wasn't much of a show in this round because they were just worn out and you could see it. Sweat was just pouring off of them. Blood was streaming down their face. The crowd was getting covered in sweat and blood anytime a punch connected. And finally, he blew the whistle for the third round to be over. The girl who was the whole reason for this was nowhere to be seen. She had slipped away and gone to class. It embarrassed the hell out of her. I know it did. So the teacher, once it was over, said, "All right, now I don't want you boys to be doing anything more about this. This was your fight. It should be settled here. Now, I call it a draw. I think you both did okay. But I don't want to hear of anything going on in class. I don't want you throwing punches or yelling at each other or anything anymore." And they both looked at him. They both looked kind of relieved. I think they were just glad it was over. And they said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." "Yes, sir, we won't. That's it for us." And they kind of smiled at each other because they each had a little more respect for one or the other. And as they walked off, because the teacher told them he wanted them to take a shower before the next class because they smelled like TT. So they went to the locker rooms, took a shower, and got dressed and made it to class. Now, this girl, who had been embarrassed completely, doesn't like the story told either. But it's just one of the big memories of the first year in high school for me. But she didn't get together with either of them. Now she's good friends with my buddy, and she's also friends with the other guy. But the other guy met somebody else 2 weeks later. And our friend met somebody else down the road, and he married her in the end. So I guess young love is just that, young love. Sometimes it goes somewhere, most of the time it doesn't. But this little escapade brought on the big fight. That teacher never, ever did that again. Now, I don't know if he got in trouble because of that. He may have. But nobody else solved their problem through a fight with students standing around in a ring. So I don't know if a lesson was learned from that or not. But life is just kind of funny like that sometimes, especially when you're really young, 11 or 12 years old. How much damage can you do to one another? I don't know. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing okay. Just my story of something that happened way back when. 1958. And it never happened again. Nobody else did that. All right, folks. I'm going to get my thumb over this red dot, and I'm going to say, hope everybody's doing well. I want you to know that I enjoy doing these things. I'm happy to see that some people do enjoy them, and I'm glad that you tune in on occasion. God bless. Till the next time.